G'day, freedom lovers. It's Friday night again. It's time to grab yourself your favourite beverage and sit down and watch us have a bit of a yarn. We've got Clynton Hawks with us today. We've got a few things we want to get through, and I think a good place to start here when I get through all this stuff is to maybe have a look at, because Clinton's been here a few times, one of the first times he was here was promote the first crime rally. And I thought we might start with a little bit of a look into, him standing there in front of his wrecked car as a victim of crime himself. So it's obviously something that's pretty important to him. Here's a few of the words I quickly slapped together today.
I think the turnout today was fantastic. You've seen the rallies in the previous past have a small, minuscule turnout. We had well over 350 people here voicing their concerns that they are fed up and sending a strong message to the Palaszczuk Labor government that they want action and change. Well, I'd say one of their most senior local figures was Mayor Jenny Hill. She's a strong Labor member, has been for her entire life. So they did have representation here, but it wasn't the three MPs that really need to have a listen to these people. They didn't turn up. You had the member for Burdekin, you had the member for Hinchinbrook. They turned up. The member for Kennedy come from Canberra last night to be here today to listen to every single one of us. So where are they? I bet they're sitting at home. They're probably on the same bloody plane Dale was on. So, yeah, I think it's an absolute disgrace and a shame, and they should all, and I hope we all sack them come October next year. Obviously, being a former candidate of the Katters Australian Party, I am a strong believer in relocation sentencing. Ditching last resort jail sentencing, which has had bipartisan support from the LNP and the KAP. They're the two big ticket items where we can get some of these criminals off our streets and get them into meaningful employment through that relocation sentencing program, teaching them a skill or whatever it might be that they choose to do. What they need a home. That's what they need. They need money. So what better way than give them a skill so they can get a job to get and achieve that?
So, yeah, that was the first Townsville crime rally. We've got a few comments coming through here. G'day, what you talking about, Willis? Yeah, sorry, mate. The cafe locked out channel has been unaccessible for live at the moment. If you're really partial to Facebook, you can find the North Queensland Freedom one. But, for you guys, I wanted to keep it in the Cafe Locked Out family and recommend that people start to go to Rumble because, Facebook is just starting to get a little bit tyrannical. And funnily enough, it was the culture concept where sharing art from artists who have allowed us to share their art is what upset them. Of all the things, I'm at a loss myself. Yeah, 8 p.m. Victorian time. That's why I put at the beginning 7 p.m. Queensland time, because unlike Victorian time, it doesn't change. Silence, can you hear me now? G'day, Mark. How are you, mate? Yeah, 7 p.m. here in Queensland, where we don't mess with our clocks, which I'm one of the main reasons I moved to Queensland, really. One of many. But, obviously the weather was a big point. Not that the weather was really good today. Boy, did I get drowned. But anyway, I'm not sure why I'm saying bye. Anyway, g'day, Alexander. How you going? Stanley, Rumble not working that well anywhere else. If you have a look in the description, there is a link tree. There you can find all the links, to the various channels I have available. X and Facebook work for the North Queensland Freedom Network, guys. Steak and kidney. That's a cool name. I like that. How are you? And g'day, Laura. Long time no see. Okay, Joe here. Okay, cool. Another name. Cool. No worries. G'day, Jan. Good to see you found us. Is the stream working for you? Okay. It's frozen for me. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe just refresh your setups there. See how you're going. G'day, Anna. How are we? So, sorry, we're a little bit late. We did have a little technical difficulty. That was my bad, but it's okay. It's okay. Things are sorted out now. And did that work? Can anybody hear that? Oh, there it is. Can you hear that? Oh, hang on. Let's see who it is. G'day, Clinton. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Mark. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, mate. It's been a while. How you been?
Yeah. I've been great, mate. Just flat out as usual. Got a got to fill the coffers before I go to war again. But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's it, mate. That's it. So we got the two truckers here talking politics today. So how's life as an MC driver? You're a little bit higher in the ranks than me as just a HR driver here.
Oh, we all got to start somewhere, mate, and it all leads to one place, and that's pulling road trains all over this great country. It's been a quite a hectic couple of weeks, obviously with the rail down out west. So just doing the best we can while I'm at work, trying to make sure the trucks are loaded, get them out as quick as possible. But yeah, it's always good fun. How about you? You going all right with it, or?
Yeah, not too bad. I nearly got the truck bogged today because man, it did it thunder down. Like I had a run out to the solar farm. Out in the middle of absolute bumfuck nowhere.
Oh yeah,
What was it? I can't think of the name of it. It's out near air though.
yeah.
And I followed the GPS coordinates. Got to follow Google Maps and hope for the best. And where it's taken me is relatively close, but it's put me to this like bit of a shed thing, and I'm like, I wonder what's in there. I'm like, and it's pouring down rain. It's one of them wonderful dirt roads. The whole time I'm thinking, geez, please don't get bogged all the way out here. It's going to take forever for them to come and get me. And I go into this big U-shape sort of area in front of a shed which has other trucks and tractors and things in there. So I'm thinking the ground should be relatively stable. So as I come round, and I'm, it started off all right, and I got about maybe a third of the way around, and the truck starts to fishtail. The wheels are spinning, the engine's revving. I'm not going very far. I'm like, oh, no. Keep moving. Don't stop. Keep moving. Just find that sweet spot where I can get at least enough traction to just keep the truck moving. I'm fishtailing all across, ripping the shit out of all this dirt. And I finally managed to work myself back around. Luckily, it was a U-shaped sort of situation, so I could keep moving in a forward momentum and got myself back onto the road where took a nice big sigh of relief and thought to myself, yep, I think that next turd might just be a diamond. But
you know what you got out of that though?
A lesson.
You got a good story out of that.
That too.
Something you'll never forget.
Oh yeah. It's definitely burnt into the memory, And then I'm like, oh, this isn't the solar farm. It's just a big shed. So I move a little bit further up, and I found the solar farm, and actually, that reminds me, I got to text something to myself so I can bring it up here on the screen. But I've looked down this dirt road, and it's a river because it's just belting down today.
Yeah,
and I'm
it was pretty wild.
I ain't going down that road. I just called the boss and said, mate, this road's a river and it's made of dirt. He said, no, don't go there. I'm like, exactly what I thought. Thank you. I'm coming back.
Thanks for the confirmation. I'm turning around and going home.
Yeah. Well, I would have argued the point had he said otherwise. So it's just nice to know that, he was thinking the same thing as me. Let's not find out the hard way. So
you'll have to do a live stream and show him how bad the road was otherwise.
Well, and then on my way back, I found someone did find out the hard way about how bad the roads were. So I'm just going to send this to myself. But while I'm sending this, and we'll come back to it in a second, mate. You're running for the KAP party now. Last we spoke, that was sort of a not really having you focusing on just holding Labor to account with the crime rallies and whatnot. What was the motivation behind running again?
Well, obviously I held that rally, and the biggest takeaway from that is Anastasia Palaszczuk is no longer the premier, which is pretty bloody good in my books. But
oh yeah,
it's a good win. But that's a win for the Queensland people. But realistically, after holding that second rally and going and meeting with the former premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, it really cemented in my mind, no matter how much advocacy or rallying and stuff we can do, they're not going to budge on that position. They've got their mindset. The bureaucrats have got the grease in the wheels. They know exactly what they're going to do. Not a month's time. We're talking about 5-10 years down the line. They know exactly what they're going to do. So it was a real easy choice for me to make, was to just throw my hat in the ring for the second time again for the Katter's Australian Party. Obviously, previously ran for the federal seat of Herbert, unsuccessfully, obviously, because I'm not an MP. But threw me hat in the ring again against the incumbent for Thuringowa, who made a complete fool and mockery of himself at the second rally. Literally
Did
walked
he
out.
what? Did he
Literally walked
what?
out. Literally walked out in front of the crowd and said "for the party" and basically shot himself. But they got to throw their henchmen out to get roasted and whatever else. But so yeah, it was quite an easy decision for me to make. And obviously it's a long way till October, and a lot can change between now and then. But we're going to keep up the fight and keep pushing. But yeah, we'll just see how we go. Give it my best, and you never know what the result might be.
Yeah, wow. Up against Darren Harper, I reckon you're in with a good chance myself.
Yeah. Obviously he hasn't done all that much, for the people of Thuringowa. Keeps promising the world, and we're not seeing many results. Constantly attacking people for their misdeeds when we're not worrying about the misdeeds that he's doing. So basically, holding him to an account is going to be the biggest cornerstone of my campaign, because there's so much he's said that he's going to do. When Riverway got postponed, he said, if it doesn't get started, I'm going to resign. Well, it's still not started, so where's his resignation letter, So, speaking with a bit of a forked tongue there, obviously doesn't want to get his snout out of the trough. He's obviously accustomed to it, but, as soon as he leaves, he's on a pension because he's been in that long, which is a shame. I don't believe he should. I don't believe any politician should have a pension post leaving. That's something I would heavily consider voting on. Anyone can go get a job after they finish public life. As you can see, they all end up on boards, whether they're sitting or out of politics. So, they're on six figures regardless, without needing a pension and whatever else. So, yeah,
And some of them are on boards during the campaign, as we're seeing with our lovely mayor at the moment.
Yeah, which is quite interesting. Each to their own. If that's the way she wants to run her local government, by all means, go ahead. But we'll see what happens at the ballot box next month. It's going to be quite interesting. Hoping for a lot of change, not just in Townsville, but right across Queensland. There's a lot of governments right across Queensland that need a fresher breath air. And if the people who have put their hands up, whether it's incumbents or newcomers to whatever teams or whatever it is, win, hopefully we see something change. But we'll just see what happens on, March 14th, I believe it is. And see which way the cookie crumbles. My personal opinion is really basically just keep the politics out of local government. That's my main thing, and actually enshrine local government as a level of government in the Australian Constitution, because right now it's underneath the state government. It's not even enshrined as a level of government.
Well, I think it's fundamentally a body corporate.
Yeah, well, basically, it's a department for the state government that has elections. So, it's not even enshrined into our Australian Constitution, yet they want us to vote on people. So,
yeah,
it just makes zero sense.
Yeah, well, it seems to me that, the people did have the opportunity to vote that situation in, and via referendum, the country said, no, we don't need more government.
Yeah.
Council, just do your bloody job. And they went and ended up doing, I think it was 1984, they created the Local Government Act anyway, in complete disregard of the people's opinion, which seems to be a common theme amongst, the Liberal and Labor Party.
Well, yeah, Pepsi and Coke, they're two the same drink, just different color on the outside.
And they're both bad for you.
Oh, 100%. The stuff you watch and the stuff you read, like, obviously I spend a lot of time reading, past years of what governments have done. I go all the way back to you're the only but yeah, I was just reading the comment.
Some of these.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, William, hello Will. But yeah, it's funny because I look back in history, 1920s, 1930s, wartime politics, and like some of the stuff they're talking about is the same shit we're talking about now. Like, why are we still talking about the same bloody things back in the 20s, and we're now talking about them in 2024. You know, crime, water, you know, the price of goods. Like, come on, surely we've got something better to strive for than the same three things. You know, let's have a goal. Let's have a purpose. You know, we're literally an island floating on this planet. You know, with water all around us, and all we can do is just be an exporting nation. It's just it's just constant. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's Labor, Liberal, the whole lot. They're all just doing the same thing, idling by, collect their $200,000 or whatever it is, and then retire off into the sunset.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous.
it is. It's utter madness. Utter madness. So here's a dude who had a bad day today. So that's what the photo I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, thankfully nobody was hurt. You know, I did
Yep.
you know check as I find when I finally got a chance to move on.
Yep.
You know,
I know that truck.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Yeah. Bloody hell. Poor bugger, eh? Did
Yeah.
was he okay or?
Yeah, the driver, I think it's I think it's a Ute of some sort. But yeah, apparently they were okay. You know, I asked the SES on the way past, they'd got him out and whatnot. So yeah, they had a bad day.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can see, the roads were pretty heavily flooded, and you know, caution was definitely something that needed to be adhered to today.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Now, obviously, when
So
it's wet, make sure you're watching what you're doing. We don't want any accidents. We don't want any loss of life. That's
that's it.
just get home safely. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're traveling or working.
And I must emphasize to all the idiots I've seen today who didn't have their lights on, you're lucky I didn't run you off the road, because when I look in the rear view, I can't see you if you haven't got your lights on. Turn your bloody
Exactly
lights
right.
on. Seriously, I can imagine it's got to be even worse when you're driving the road train or whatnot in the rain
Yeah,
like that, you know?
well, when you got two trailers or three trailers, they're a fair way back. Hey, I'm flat out
Mm,
bloody walking around it, let alone looking back. So
mm.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize just how hard it is for truckies to see, and particularly in those sort of circumstances. So please turn your lights on, boys and girls. It's not a hard thing to do, especially if you have a desire to live.
yeah. Yeah, well,
So,
you'd be amazed. I saw a photo. Where was that? It was like a Kenworth 650. Anyway, it had like ropes and everything, and they had a car in front of it and a motorbike in front of it, and showed you the blind spots. You can't even
mm,
like if you sit in a truck and you got a car right in front of you, you cannot see a car, let alone see a motorbike.
yeah.
So people
Mm.
just like there's so many campaigns, NHVR and all them sort of places. They've got campaigns out, don't muck around with a truck and all that sort of thing, but people still do it. Just try and educate yourselves and be a bit truck safe and be a bit truck smart when you're out on the roads, because it's a stressful enough job as it is, let alone having to worry about everyone else on the road. And yeah, if everyone is sort of aware of what we got to do, it would make it a better work environment.
Oh, for sure. You know, and none of us want to see anyone get hurt. And and having been for the mainstream media, I've seen the result of truck versus car. I can tell you right now, truck always wins, and the
Yeah,
poor truckie's got to live with the trauma of your
yeah,
somebody else's death and whatnot. So
yeah. You got to live that with that for the rest of your life, and whether or not it was their fault or the other person's fault, it's with you forever, and it ends up on the media and stuff like that. And you'll see people, like, say for example, there's an article on the bulletin and they tag you in it. Well, then it'll come up in your memory, so it haunts you forever. It doesn't matter. So just be a bit safe.
exactly. Next time you use the car wash, it's probably not a bad idea. So
Yeah, good
anyway,
on
we'll
you,
we'll
buddy.
come back to that the train of thought as opposed to the road train that we were on just a moment ago there. So yeah, we ended up going into a second crime rally, and
Yeah,
of course our good friend Aaron. Well, actually, before we go there, we'll stick with the first crime rally for a second.
yeah,
And I'd like to sort of, point out, seeing there's a mayoral election going on in a month, that in that first rally, I noticed that Jenny Hill was very wise to sit back, observe everything that was said, and she come out and said absolutely everything that everybody else said, bar one thing. And this is the bit that she said that was different.
We have over 500 cameras. We're probably pushing closer to 600. And our guys work with the police every day trying to see what the hell is going on and monitoring some of the activity. We can get money from federal and state level to put more cameras in, but it comes out of your rates that we've got to have operators there. And for about 600 cameras, we need about 7 to 8 operators a shift. I know a few of you have asked me about what parks are next to try and protect. Where else are we putting CCTV? What more we're doing? I can't talk about that. That'll come out in the budget.
Well, I can tell you, I certainly want one of those people saying, let's have some more cameras around, because I honestly think they do 2/5 of nothing. I can't help but feel that, I've seen what's happened with places like communist China and the way they use CCTV in that regard, because I can tell you it's having zero effect on the crime problem.
Yeah, well, the cameras are only to protect government, local government assets. That's the whole point of them. And if there's a crime happening on the road, that they're not going to report on it, so it doesn't do anything other than protect the asset itself. So if something was happening on the asset, whether it's a sporting field or community hall, if something was happening to that, they'd call it in. But if it's anything else, if it's not impeding on local government property, well, yeah, you're exactly right. It does absolutely nothing. Whether or not some people call it in their shift or whatever, that's up to them. But it's to protect the government asset. And I am of the opinion that we don't need any more cameras. I think it's an encroachment of your privacy, and that sort of stuff. And depends, who owns the camera, like who made the camera. We've seen like cameras getting bugged and relaying information back to the CCP, the ones that were in Parliament House and stuff like that. That was a big story that blew up the year before last, I'm pretty sure. There was like 500 newer cameras got installed, and then it was found that they could potentially send information and data back to the country of origin they were made. That was a big scandal, actually. So it just depends, and that was widely reported on all different media outlets. So, but it was actually quite interesting. It sort of slipped by. They didn't want to make too much of a wazoo about it, otherwise everyone would be like, "Ooh." But yeah, it is something to be concerned about. It just depends on whether you got the money to buy decent quality equipment that isn't one made by China, which everything practically is anyway, or
the market.
Yeah, exactly right. And every single government, whether it's Australia, America, it doesn't matter where it is, have all got a hand in allowing that to happen, which is quite a shame. Because now, what have we got to be proud of? What do we make anymore? Like, I can think maybe 3 things that we still make. And then 9 times out of 10 they say it's built in Australia, but it's all made, like all the individual components and parts are all made in China anyway, so it's just made in China. So it's just, it's ridiculous. But yeah, going back to the cameras, less cameras allows you to have more privacy, and we don't want any more government in our lives. We don't want an encroachment of our privacy from people. It's like you see the little yellow money boxes when you're driving down the highway. You seen them yet? They got a camera points straight down. Well, what if I'm not wearing any pants? What if I'm not wearing pants?
Well, why are you out in public without your pants on? This
is a good question. No, this is a serious question. And what if I'm wearing no pants and they've got a camera that points straight down looking at me while I'm driving? Well, that's an encroachment on my sacred privacy, and I would not like the government to look at it.
Fair enough. I think there's some people out there, they're going to be like, well, why didn't you just put your pants on? And like, where were you going without your pants? And I'm starting to think of the Lego movie, honey, where are my pants?
It's a fair
It is.
question, though. But like,
It's an interesting question. I
you got
mean, I
some,
think the
you got
more
some
likely
random person.
scenario is why is that woman's head between your legs and what was going on there? You know,
Well, my
that's
missus is
possibly
probably
a
like
more
that.
likely
She
scennario.
might run here and slap me.
There
We
you
don't want
go.
that happen, bro. Yeah. But like it's a fair question, you know. It's an invasion of
Mm,
privacy, you know. Like when I'm driving, you see these cameras everywhere. They're all like, whether you're wearing pants or not, but they're all
mm,
pointing down, and looking at what you're doing all the time.
mm.
And those cameras, they're making a profit out of. You know,
Yep.
whether you got your seatbelt on, you got your phone on your lap. You know,
$1,171 for that
yep,
seatbelt at the moment.
yep. It's yeah, quite a money grab, isn't it? I'm pretty sure
Mm,
there's bigger fish to fry in regards to revenue raising. You know, plenty of drug
mm,
lords running around selling bad drugs to kids at the moment that, you know,
yep.
exacerbates the crime in our state and in our country. So, you know, why aren't they busting the big fish instead of worrying about a bloke who's been driving all day, has got a rash from the seatbelt rubbing on him all day,
Mm,
felt like taking it off, and then obviously lapse of judgment, drove through a camera. You know, it's
yeah.
just, yeah, it's revenue raising at its finest. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
that's it.
not a fan, and it's more surveillance. You know,
Mm,
more surveillance on you, more surveillance on everyone in this country, and I don't think Australia is that country where you're supposed to have everyone watching you, big, like, you know, the term Big Brother's watching you. Well,
yeah.
it's true now. It's always watching you. You can go to
Mm,
Woolworths. You go to the self-serve checkout, and it's got a little tiny camera that
yep.
watches
And a
you as
picture
you,
of you.
yeah, and and
Let you know
and,
you're
it- and it
being
watches
watched.
you, yeah, and as you scan, its camera's right there looking at you.
Mm,
Like, what do you need that for? You got
yeah.
like an attendant watching you pack your bags. It's not like you're gonna steal an onion.
Mm.
I
Well,
just
I'm guessing some people are, and that's why they're so
well,
paranoid. But I mean, again,
yeah,
well, the solution that instead of rolling out all this invasive technology, I'm not up for doing your job for you. Why don't you get
yeah.
somebody to do the job and get it done right?
Well, here's the thing though. You go to Coles and Woolworths, and they got one checkout open where the lady's in there scanning everything, and
Mm.
if it's a big peak period, well, it's forcing you to go through the other way. What about
Especially
the
when
other?
there's like 10 cashier registers
Hmm,
and two people serving. You're
exactly
like, come
right,
on.
and there's like 30 people standing around at the main service desk. Like, go do your job.
Mm. In the
I don't
meantime,
want.
Coles and Woolies profits are through the roof, and
Oh well, yeah. You look at the price of meat at the moment when you go to
mm,
the meat section. Um, it's ridiculous. Go to your local butcher and buy it. You'll get it, you know, 30% cheaper. I
mm.
know I do. Yeah,
I
you
find the
know.
quality's better. That's my
Oh,
incentive.
100%. And you ever picked up like chicken in the cold meat section, and you like hold it there and you tilt it, and they're
Yeah,
like
and
all
all
the
the
water.
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Like,
Nothing more
what is that?
inspiring, is it?
Like, what is that? Where has it been? Like,
Mm,
have you just left it out in the aisle, like in the warehouse out the back there, like just defrosting and going disgusting? Like,
and how many times did that happen, by the time, from the farm or abattoir,
mm,
to the, the first depot, then the second depot, then the third
yeah.
depot, and then it finally makes it to the store,
Well,
you
I'll
know?
tell you a funny story. So, you know, bananas, right?
Mm,
Yeah. So they get loaded up in Innisfail, or
mm,
even tomatoes. Tomatoes get loaded
yeah.
up in the Bowen Basin. Tomatoes go to Adelaide, and then they come back up to Townsville.
What the you gotta be shitting me.
Yep, they go to the distribution center. Anyway, bananas, I'm pretty sure
There's
they go to
efficiency
Brisbane.
at its finest.
So they
And
go from
they tell
Innisfail.
me I can't drive a petrol car, but they'll truck bloody stuff all the way down to Adelaide to
Yeah,
bring it back.
yeah,
Oh god.
100%. The bananas go from, say, for example, Tully or Innisfail or somewhere, right? And then they go straight to Brisbane, and then they go from Brisbane up to here. You got to put the sticker on them. You got to put them in the little box. Got to dip them in the little red candle wax. You know, make them look
Pretty
make them look
sure we
flash
can do that
before.
up here.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm,
We used to have
mm,
like proper distribution centers. Used to have like, you know, the farmers market at in Brisbane there. Where is it? Eagle Farm or something like that. I can't remember.
mm.
it's got the main market where all the fresh fruit and vegetables go. It's where the stores go and buy it, all your independent groceries and all that sort of stuff. They go and buy it there. So it all goes down to there, and then it never ever go. And then they pack it up, and then they send it back to the shop where it came from. It's just madness.
It is. It's
and then
lunacy,
so you got double the freight cost. So
Yeah.
you wonder why your food's double, triple the price than it was 10 years ago.
Mm.
It's ridiculous.
Who owns the lights at every set of lights? I would say that's federal property, wouldn't it? That'd be federal government, isn't it?
I would say
As the main roads
would
are.
be either owned by the respective, they'd be managed by the state government, depending on who built the road itself, whether it's a local, state, or federal government road.
Right.
But all roads are controlled and timed and everything by TMR, so basically it'd be Queensland. So I'd say it'd be state government would own them.
Okay. And they're just contracting people to, maintain them and all that sort of stuff. Rumble. So people are having trouble with Rumble. That's not
Well,
good.
they can head over to my Facebook page. I can see it's still running on there as well.
My Facebook page is working. It's just some of these people have come from Cafe Locked Out. There's lots of pages we're going to right now. So, Cafe Locked Out's had a bit of trouble with Facebook recently. They keep claiming that we're breaching copyright for playing the music from the artists that we've got on the show who authorized it. They're coming in and being a third party interloper. And micromanaging.
They're watching you.
Their bots are. I don't know how much human interaction there is, but So anyway, we should probably cruise along a little bit more through.
We're just having an in-depth conversation about bananas and no pants.
Yeah, well, what's with dipping bananas in wax? It's not my bottle of Maker's Mark bourbon. There you go. I'll stand by that.
I'll pay that one. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's important things, shouldn't have like a royal seal in it or something, where's the signet ring and all that sort of shit.
It's the simplest things, like it just makes you think outside the box. It's amazing.
Yeah, independent thought alarm. I'm pretty sure that, Principal Skinner will be belting the shit out of that by the time we're done today. But let's keep on cruising through, the last couple of times we've caught up and whatnot. Yep. So obviously we actually before we move along, here's a little segment, Cat party and all that, dedicated to Bob. Seeing as you're running for the Cat party, we should have a little bit of a chat here. I was actually quite inspired by what he said here. I like this.
Well, Dame Mary Gilmore poem. Perhaps instead of poems, Bob, I'd like to get your thoughts on why it's important to support an independent media for North Queensland. What are your thoughts on that?
The media run to a central theme. They are all wokes, double degree, done nothings, right? Now, I'm being unfair, obviously, to some people.
All is fair in love and war, right?
Some of them work hard, but they are in a regime and a system which tells them what to do. Listen to the ABC public affairs programs and you will hear how wonderful the ALP is. Listen to Fox News and you will hear how dreadful they are and how wonderful the Liberal Party is. Now, more than 33% refused to vote for the Liberal Party last election. More than 33% refused to vote for the Labor Party. They want freedom. They want freedom. Right. And that's, that's what Australia was about. The song that opened the 200-year celebrations of the coming of settlement, it starts off with, "We sailed the seas in search of freedom." There it is. There it is.
Cool.
That is how the government then, 25 years ago, decided they would celebrate. The first sentence is freedom. Right. But That is one commodity you don't have in Australia today. No, you can't smack your kid. No, you must have a fence around your swimming pool. No, you cannot have a tree house. No, we will inspect your house to see that it's properly insulated, and then we will force you to insulate your house. Now, all of these things might be good, right? But they're not freedom. They're not freedom. Yeah. I could go out and build a humpy out there and be the king on my little domain. That was freedom, even though it might be a humble humpy. It was freedom.
Right. Well, that's what we're about here at the North Queensland Freedom Network.
So yeah, that was a good little, unique moment of Bob Catter there, captured only by the North Queensland Freedom Network. It was, he's a great character. Eh? What's it like working with Bob, mate?
He's a national treasure. We need to hold him for as long as we can. Realistically, like the first time I ever met Bob was, when was it? When I expressed my interest to run for the federal seat of Herbert. Anyway, I was selling trucks at the time. I was a truck salesman. Anyway, this Commonwealth car pulled up out the front of my work. It was like 4 minutes to 5 or something like that. Anyway, out comes Bob Catter. Anyway, walks straight through the showroom, and my office had a little thing. Said Clynton Hawks. Anyway, knocked on the door. He said, "G'day, Bob Catter. Is this Clynton Hawks?" I said, "Yeah, it is, Bob." And he said, "Lovely to meet you. Are you right to go?" I was like, no one told me anything. He just picked me up, and he's like, "We're going." It was like work hadn't even finished yet. Anyway, we got in the com car and we went to the Dalrymple pub, and we just got chatting. Got chatting about much of the similar things that we're talking about right now. About what my positions are on X and Y, and how do I feel about certain topics, and what would I do if it was a hung parliament, and just and the best thing Bob ever says, right? He says it to everyone. Doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or you're 90 years old. His favorite thing is, if you are the boss of Australia, what would be the first 2 things you would do? And it just, and 9 times out of 10, you can't think of something like, you're like, you could think of, minuscule things, but what would you do as the boss of Australia? Like, you're higher than the Queen, you're higher than the Prime Minister. You are, like, say for example, you were a dictator for a day. What would be the first 2 things you would do? And it's an amazing question, and it really makes you think. It's just some of the raw moments you get with Mr. Catter, and I love every minute working with him, because you never know what you're going to get. As you could see, there was like 5 different versions of Bob in that short 30 seconds, but it was all tied to one thing, and that was freedom. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's a great clue. It's an interesting question. So were you just straight out stumped with when he asked the question, or did you?
100%, because like my mind was just racing with like a million things of like, I like, for me it was sort of transport related, but like I'd fix the Bruce Hire or some silly like that. But like there is so many things. Like, if you were the boss of Australia and you could only do 2 things on your, like, you were the boss of Australia, like what would you choose to do? Like, there's just too much to fix. There's too much to do. It's it's good.
Apparently, Michael reckons it lock up the pedos is the answer to his question.
Well, that's a good question. Castrate them too. That'd be good.
Yeah, sort them out good and proper.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a firm believer of that.
Take control of the military, sack every politician from federal to local.
Yeah, well, we've got a Governor General that has the power to do that. Unfortunately, they're selected by the party of the day, so that's a bit unfortunate, I reckon.
Yeah, the only time we've seen the Governor General do that was for the Labor Party, I believe, to get rid of Gough Whitlam.
Gough Whitlam, yep, which is pretty radical. What was his name? He took control of the Treasury. He moved all the money out of the New South Wales Treasury, put it in the Union Hall, and had the police protect it. And then the governor of New South Wales sacked him and like got him out, like got rid of him. Anyway, that was another time that happened. I can't remember. It was like Hugh Hugh Long or something like that. He was the premier of New South Wales. It's pretty cool. We almost come to civil war at that point. It was pretty.
I'll have to look that one up. I wasn't aware of that story.
He took all the money out of the New South Wales Treasury, moved it into the Union Hall. He had the backing of the police. The Australian Army was like surrounding it, demanding that the money be brought out because obviously money was money back then, and gold and stuff like that. Like we had tangible currency. It wasn't just fake believe dollars.
And the old notes used to, was a promissory note for that value of gold too. Now it's not worth the plastic that it's printed on.
I wish I owned a country and I'd just make my own currency. You don't need anything to.
Well, that's a great answer to Bob's question there, isn't it? Perhaps we could get the Commonwealth Bank to do what it originally did, and
seize back the Commonwealth Bank, have it as a public asset. That'd be good.
Yeah, the way it should be, before it was all sold out to private interests.
Yep.
So there is a question here. Christian Price, Division 4 independent candidate. My question is, will you support the independents who are running for council that are voting for you?
That are voting for me. Yep. Good question. Unfortunately, no one stood up against the councillor in my division, which was Division 7 here in Mount Louisa. But 100%. I support anyone who puts a hand up. I know exactly what it's like. I am supporting a candidate here in the local race, and they are an independent. So, it'll be good to see how they go. And I really hope that we get a few independents. It's good to have a healthy balance. You don't want one thing swaying everything. But you need to have a healthy balance, whether that's independent, Team Jenny Hill, LNP. The most surprising thing out of that whole entire local government candidate pool was the Benjamin Tilley. He's running for Liam Mooney's division. I'm pretty sure Division 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right. Division 9.
He declared himself as the Greens candidate. And I take my hat off to him because that's got a lot of guts. Whereas a lot of these other candidates, not the proper independents like Kirsten Price,
Christian.
Christian. Sorry, Christian Price. He is an independent. He's not politically affiliated with anyone.
Now, I had to fix that because I actually did the same thing you did the other day.
Yeah, I know. I feel really
sorry
bad
about that, mate. No, it's all right. I felt real bad too. Like he pulled me up, so I'm like, so it's the K. It threw me off.
Yeah, threw me off then too.
Yeah,
but it takes a lot of guts to actually just say, hey, I'm the Green. I'm a Green affiliated, and the Greens are backing me.
Very honest.
Hats off to the bloke, which is a good thing. And the Greens have got a really good place in local government. A lot of their policy, their proper policy actually belongs in local government. Whether it belongs in state government, I personally don't think so. But that's my own thought. It'll be interesting to see which way the cookie crumbles for that local government election. Like I said, I hope there's a good, healthy balance between, the sort of political parties in the local government and independents. So it'll be good.
To answer Marla, yes, I did. If you go back through the list of podcasts, you'll find that interview with Alan. And we are going to go and do some filming in the next week and hopefully come out with some cool stories for you too. He's got some cool things to say. I won't get onto it too much, but if you go back to that old podcast that we did on Tuesday, actually, you'll have all your answers for that one. There was something else up here.
I'll just quickly say, though, politics, it's more of a quote, but politics is, the marketplace of ideas. You don't want just one idea controlling the whole show because you see what happens with that. You want multiple different people coming to the forefront, adding what they've got to say. That adds to the bigger picture, and that's what gives us the beauty of democracy, I suppose. It sounds really cliche to say, but that's really the crux of it when you bring it down, and it allows us to actually think more and like, say for example, like the North Queensland Freedom Network, it gives people that have an outside thought or even a mainstream thought the platform to talk about these sorts of things, and it's a good place. So yeah.
So yeah, we're going to check out Erica for Division 9 as well, and yeah, I'll definitely be getting in contact with her. We had a yarn a couple of weeks ago actually, but while she was still deciding whether she was going to run or not, and I suggested to her, well, if you're having trouble, do what I do: grab a coin and flip it. I've got one right here. I can help you out. And she took my advice, went home, flipped the coin 3 times, and it came up yes each time. So
well, it's meant to be, really.
That's it. Fate intervenes at that point, So yeah. But let's have a bit of a look at some of this other stuff that I've brought in for the purposes of conversational points. So we've gone through that first rally, we felt like we had a bit of an achievement because the second time come round, and boy, did we have some fun, This is a bit of the extended version of Fail of the Week 2, dedicated to Aaron Harper, who just, as I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do for Fail of the Week 2, like Les Walker just put the idea in my mailbox literally for Fail of the Week 1. I just looked at it and gone, right. And he inspired the whole Fail of the Week. So thank you, Les Walker, for being such a douchebag that you inspired me. And a really big thanks to Aaron Harper for stepping up to the plate for number 2 and giving me possibly I think we give him Fail of the Year last year, because like this was just epic. So sit back, crack a tinny. Here's nearly 6 minutes of the last crime rally. Fail of the Week. Welcome to Fail of the Week, and this week we've got Aaron Harper as an epic fail. Sometimes I think maybe I'm not going to be able to keep doing this week after week, but some people just seem to make it easy for me. Let's have a look at why he's a fail.
Oh, yeah, okay, get it all out now. Get your abuse out now. Righto. When you actually want to hear from me, I'll start. So, do you actually want to hear what we're doing or not? Well, I'll wait until you're finished and then I'll speak. Are you done? Do you want me to speak or not? Or I can just walk away. I'll get it off your chest. So, are we going to listen or not?
As you can see, it's not exactly the nicest way to treat people who are victims of crime and are definitely concerned and are asking to be heard. You seem to have failed on that element because you just keep asking people, will you listen to me? I think we're done listening to you. Maybe you need to listen to the people. But the icing on the cake was when he said this.
Have a little bit of respect. Well, you called me here, so I'm either going to bloody speak or I'm not.
Our beautiful Jennifer, who was killed on her motorbike. At least the fella here lived. We don't have Jennifer here.
Yes, no. I bet you if I walked around, half of you are bloody LNP anyway. I'll rent a crowd.
We're LNP voters, so everybody was the renter crowd. I don't know that anybody was paid to be there. Myself, I'm pretty confident everyone was genuinely annoyed, and with good reason, especially when we're treated like that. So we have a look at some of the things that have come out today in the news. We've got one here from the Daily Telegraph. Renter crowd protesters mocked as Palaszczuk stays away. What a shock there. Deliberately maimed by teen crims, and Labor has the audacity to call me a renter crowd. That's a hard one to swallow. But it's okay, I want to apologise, Harper says. Sorry, after youth crime rally spray. And of course he had his big media statement where he again apologises but tries to handball it onto the LNP members who were attempting to hijack the event for their own political purposes. You have got to be kidding me, mate. This is why you are fail of the week. You just don't seem to get it. The people are not happy with you, mate. They're not happy because you failed.
On the Townsville Bulletin, when the LNP were in power, that youth crime was out of control. Granted, they tried. So what have we done? What have I done as a local member? Well, the first...
Apparently, back in 2010, he was reading the articles about how bad the LNP was. Let's have a look at the stats. The stats say that, yeah, there was a bit of a spike there in 2012, 2013, but since Labor's taken the seat, according to him, it's just continued to climb with a wonderful, whopping nearly 45,000 crimes in 2022. That's pretty impressive. Here's some people you didn't listen to that emphasise the point.
I and my daughter were a victim of crime. My daughter's car was stolen back in 2013, so that's 10 years ago. In all these years, nothing's changed. Nobody's listened. But I'm trying to get appointments to see these pollies. They refuse to see you. They don't want to hear what you're saying.
Tell us about what you've been seeing on your security cameras.
Since the juvenile residential homes have infected Annandale, as multiple ones of them, our crime has gone through the roof. These kids dance in front of our cameras on the street. They line up 4 stolen cars in a row because they know we've got cameras.
Have you taken any of this up with Les Walker?
Les Walker cooks a great sausage. We went home and still don't feel safe in our homes.
So a couple of sausages is not going to buy some happiness in this case.
It's not going to stop our elderly from being home invaded and assaulted in their own homes.
We've had people killed on the roads. We've got a young bloke who's had a compound fracture because they used a vehicle to knock him off his bike.
That's exactly it. Enough's enough. I've had enough. They shouldn't have to do this. This organised youth crime is what it is. They don't care. The kids had me on Snapchat the next day, snapping me, throwing gang symbols. They worship leaders like the Crips and the Bloods. We're Australian. What is the Crips and the Bloods doing in Australia? They've been charged with unlawful use of a motor vehicle. They should be going for attempted vehicular manslaughter, and every single one of them should be held accountable for it.
It was everything that I thought and knew in my heart, being in that hospital bed when everybody connected to me, and how quickly and rapidly people came to me with all the information, support, as well as the Townsend Bulletin, rapidly changing the story to get that perspective of it was intent. They were malicious. They striked me. They waited for the opportunity to target and hit me, and they have no regard or remorse whatsoever. To have that crowd there stand made me believe the very thing that I'm talking about is the Australian spirit, the community. The very community that I stand here to go, this is something that we should all be in support of, our freedoms.
I bet you if I walked around, half of you are bloody LNP anyway. I'll rent a crowd.
Well, that concludes this week's Fail of the Week. Stay tuned for next week's winner. There you go. I probably should have done a little bit of editing on it at some point, but wow. So, like I said earlier, I don't reckon you're going to have much trouble defeating that.
Oh, you would be surprised. There's, well, 33%, if you heard Bob earlier, voted for Labor and continue to vote for Labor. 33%, though, vote for independents. So, who knows what can happen. I'll pull a few cats out of the bag as we get a bit closer. It's going to be quite interesting as it draws closer to October. But yeah, like the audacity of a bloke to walk out there and call everyone a renter crowd. I wish I got paid. That would have been pretty bloody cool,
Yeah, I would have too.
Paid. Like I know for a fact that I'm a KAP member, so obviously we're not all LNP, like.
Well, that was the funny thing. Like, I mean, you're there. Nick was there. Bob was there. There was well and truly more KAP, and the same with the first round as well. It was a KAP event, if anything. But it's like he doesn't want to acknowledge that there's another party here. It's all the LNP. It's their bipartisan control system.
Yeah, well, I invited everyone from all four political parties. That's One Nation, KAP, LNP, and the ALP. To add their voice to tell the people exactly what they're going to do. That's why I did those rallies. Is because I wanted these politicians not just to talk to a camera. Now it's all good and well for me to talk for 30 seconds and 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes talking to a camera, get 30 seconds out of it, telling you what my policy or whatever it is. I wanted the politicians to actually speak to the people, and we saw that, and we saw how these people behave, and they were wildly different, all of them, a whole lot of them, including myself. You know, like it is daunting to go talk in front of the public. It's even daunting talking on the live stream right now. You know, even though I know you quite well, but and that's besides the point. It's still daunting to talk to an audience. You're always thinking about what you're trying to say, but yeah, the whole point of that was just to try and give people a platform so they can actually hear from these politicians. And I was wildly surprised that the member for Thuringowa actually climbed out of that ivory tower at Queensland Country Bank Stadium and actually spoke. Like, that had a lot of guts. I'll give credit where credit's due.
That must have been drawing straws, though.
Oh, all three of them were up there. The member for Townsville, the member for Moneyborough, the member for Thuringowa, even the
And
Premier
herself.
Yep. The Minister for Police, every single, like, the whole entire cabinet was there. So all the ministers, all their staff, everyone was there. And they all could have come down, you know, listened to what everyone had to say. It probably wouldn't have been the best situation. The police might have to break it up, but we might add an effigy out the front with Palaszczuk on it.
Who knows?
We'll just leave that for the
some very
the alternative history books. But I think that style of thing is necessary because everyone's fed up, right? Everyone's fed up with politicians. They're fed up because they only hear what they say on the news or what they say on the Townsville Bulletin or Courier Mail or the Australian or whatever you want to, mainstream media. What they want to hear is like me and you right now, long format interviews. You see that in American politics right now. It's skyrocketing. You've got like Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, Jordan Peterson podcast, all them sort of places. They're adding value to the political system by allowing people to hear the thoughts and the processes. Like, how many topics have we spoken about tonight? You know, there's lots. In the space of 57 minutes, we've spoken about that much. Whereas people won't hear, like, they won't hear from me. They'll only hear 30 seconds or 10 seconds out of a media, you know, interview.
Well, it's more like 3 to 4 seconds because I've been there editing it, you know, and you get, it's a 30 to 40 second article, but your soundbite will be 3 to 4 seconds.
Yep. So for people to hear me talk, they probably think I'm a bloody bogan, but for 58 minutes now, but like they probably think I'm a bogan talking now, but it's important because, you know, you don't hear the major parties talking for 58 minutes. You hear them talking for 3 seconds, and then everyone's like, wow, they're so amazing because they might get they might be really buddy with the reporter, so they might get a really good article every single time. Whereas I do something and they play me stuttering for 3 seconds, like, that's not an accurate representation of what I'm trying to talk about or what I'm trying to say.
And again, having been in that newsroom, I know they're specifically targeting, you know, Kata parties and One Nations to make you look that way too, which is another reason why I do this, is to give that opportunity to see more than what they're, you know, doing with their smoke and mirrors, and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain routine.
Yeah, exactly right. And, you know, there's good and bad in every news organization. I've got a great relationship with, you know, a lot of the mainstream media here in Townsville. But this style is what will start getting bigger and bigger in Australia. You already see, like, you know, the Topher Fields and stuff like that. Even this program itself, like, you are starting to gain traction. I see the numbers on Rumble. I see the sort of interaction you're getting. So it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you just keep doing it. The moment you stop is the moment that it fails. So, you know, like, as you get bigger and bigger, you know, it could evolve into anything. So, I really think, like, I draw a lot of parallels between Australian and American politics. There's so many similarities at the moment with the topics of discussion, obviously. There's a lot of differences, but these sort of style of interviews is what's going to progress and be the mainstream, I believe, in the years to come. But we'll just see.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a bogan, of course. I mean, you're talking to a man who was the lead singer of a band called Bogan Nation. So, you know, there's definitely nothing wrong with being a bogan as far as I'm concerned. I had a lot of
Yep.
fun being the character Batty Bogan. It was a lot of fun.
Why
You
not?
know, so yeah, it was heaps fun. Like, here's my stack of CDs that nobody bought. Actually, I've got to zoom back out so you can see, you know, yeah, right here, stack of CDs nobody bought.
Oh, you've got to have it. You've got to have a history and a story, mate. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
what all leads us
it's one
to.
hell of a story. Oh, and actually, for those who are interested in that story, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that on Sunday night with Michael as we go into the culture of both myself and Wayne from the What the Fuck Boys. So, yeah, because we're both Melbourne musicians. But there was a call out here to ask the hard questions, and there's a few here that I've tagged. And
Excellent.
this is the perpetrator who wanted the hard questions. So the question to Clinton would you have a look at Ricardo Bosse's plan to move Australia into a better place? It has some merit. Are you aware of that plan?
What is that plan? If you'd like to divulge.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take that one on notice, Michael. If you can give us a little bit further on it. Like personally, I'm not a big fan of Ricardo Bosse these days. When he first came out on the scene, he seemed like he was the right kind of person. Recently, he's just attacking everyone and anything. So I don't know why he's had that sudden change. I have my theories, but you know, I'm not going to really get into them. Personally, I've just lost interest.
Well, see, when he come to Townsville, this is what 2019 or something like that, or 2020, I can't remember. I went to his seminar again. Didn't really know what it was about, but I went along and I heard what he had to say, and a lot of it had merit. You know, he wants to rebuild Australia into the Australia it was. Like you have a look at those 1980 TV ads, you know, the Forex Gold ad where they're like, yeah, we're real Australians, you know, we crack open a tin of Forex Gold and here's me Holden Commodore, you know, panel van or whatever. Here's me surfboard, you know, got me footy shorts on. We're going for it.
Paul Hogan show,
yeah,
Kingswood
or
Country.
They're
things we
on
could
the
be proud of.
barbecue. They're on the barbecue flipping it, or they're, you know, making cars, working in the steel mill, you know, exporting real stuff, you know. It's
the same with the VB commercial. You know, hard-earned thirst deserves a hard, cold beer.
Yep, or make
Speaking
it better
of which,
in the
I'll
Sunshine
drink
State. The Make It Better in the Sunshine State ad, which was Joe Bajolki Peterson, the greatest premier of all time of Queensland.
Oh, I spent too much of those days back in in Victoria. I missed that campaign.
yeah. No, well, I wasn't even born, but you know the stuff that you read about it is just a good time to be alive. But
the good old days, as everybody says, you know. But sadly, those who long for the good old days didn't do a great deal to defend them. I think that's one of the big problems. We've allowed this wokester environment to really take control to, you know, a detrimental level, to the point where I personally believe it's some kind of mental illness, you know, and if you don't join them in their mental illness, that they just have the biggest dummy spit you've ever seen.
Well, I'm a firm believer that some of these issues, whether it's trans and stuff like that, some of that is attributed to mental illness. You know, people playing like they're dogs and cats. Like to me, that's not normal behavior. You know, if you were doing that in the medieval, if you were doing that in the medieval ages, you'd be hung, drawn, and quartered. Like like, you know, like and each to their own sexual proclivities. Let a thousand blossoms bloom and all that sort of stuff. But it's just not normal. And I believe like all that sort of stuff, whether it's the woke ideology, teaching kids that they're allowed to be whatever they want to be as a sexual preference is not okay.
Sexualizing children, bad.
Oh, 100%.
Same category as the pedo fucking construct we had before.
Well, that's grooming, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That is grooming. If you're trying to, you know, push a kid into a sort of sexual preference, well, that's grooming. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you are.
Manipulation at the
Oh,
very least,
100%. Nah.
coercion in some
Yeah,
cases, and
100%.
quick drag queen story time. Like, I mean, there's videos there from drag queens going, "Why would you put that in front of your children?" Drag queen is,
I know
it's all drugs and sex. That's what it is. It's not. That shouldn't be in a kindergarten, primary school, or a library even.
I know a fair few drag queens, believe it or not, but they all hate this shit. They really do.
Yeah.
And I
It's
know,
making them look bad.
I know plenty of gay people, and they're all lovely people. They all they keep their sexual life to themselves. Everyone does that. I keep my sexual life to myself with my partner. Like, I don't want to see any of that sort of stuff. I don't even want to see two straight people kissing on the beach. I don't want to see anyone kiss on the beach. Just all be normal. Just enjoy your lives. Go and do what you've got to do. And when you're in the bedroom, leave it in the bedroom. Yeah. That's where it belongs. So
it's again, coming back to the psychological construct. It's like, well, we're happy doing things in our home. We don't need to put it on exhibition. I don't need that attention. It's an attention-seeking construct, from what I can tell. That the need to make it so public. This, again, the same as the Mardi Gras. Let's walk down the street in a G-string. Like, what the hell? Like, wonderful that you feel that way. But have you taken, a thought to how you're affecting other people? And that's,
we saw that
as a part of the Freedom Network, I'm all for freedom. But there's a line where, when your freedoms encroach on somebody else's freedom, some sort of just consideration needs to be taken in.
100%. That's why we have gay bars and they have private, like we have like they have orgy parties. Like, we've seen in the Townsville Bulletin, there was that sex thing that was going on last year, where everyone was invited to this masquerade thing. It was like an orgy thing. And then they have the gay bars as well. So, there's something for everyone. Go do that in private, in a private event, or inside your own home, even better.
Yeah.
Just keep it out of the public domain. Keep it out of my son's face. Keep it out of everyone else's kid's face. Let them decide what they want to be at the right time. They might be 30 and they decide, hey, I'm gay. Good on you. That's good. You be gay. Like, I'm not going to stop you from being gay. If you like doing that, you go do that. But just don't try and push it on everyone else. And we're seeing that. And like, what is with local government pushing that sort of agenda? What do they get out of it? Like, what you see the ones down in they're donors, maybe, I guess, for the individual councils and stuff, might be propping them up. But what place has local government got pushing that? Like, we saw that gay rights march, or I don't know, the LGBT, the alphabet people.
Held best name for them.
Oh, well, I can't.
Let me help you out. LGABC.
Well, I watched Piers Morgan sometimes. He's a bit left leaning. Anyway, he's like the alphabet people. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call them the alphabet people from now on, because that's what they are. Yeah. I can't keep up with how many pluses and like, is the plus the premium version for gay? Like, like what?
I think it's supposed to signify and all the things we forgot that we're going to make up next week.
Yeah, like, like, pay $19.95 and you get to be gay plus. Like, I don't know. Just be yourself.
The premium subscription on Twitter.
And keep your sexual life private. I don't want to hear about it. Just do it on your own. I'm happy the way I am. I'm happy the way you are. You be yourself, mate. Like, good on you. Yeah. Let's just live our lives. Let's try and make this place a better place. Let's make it livable, because right now, I just saw a question. Be gay, we support you. Be homeless, different story.
Wow, there's a hell of a lot. I've got a bit of catching up to do with some of these comments.
I just read that one on the side, and to be honest, why is anyone living in a car right now, or living under a bridge? And like, it's the saddest thing. Like, why isn't government providing enough local like social housing right now? Why are we in such a deficit? Why haven't local governments released large swaths of land? Like, it just makes me really angry that we've got these governments. Well, even a left-leaning government.
Supposed to be about those sorts of things.
Well, they're more about the social issues, like the left-leaning social issues. Like, Why aren't we supporting our most vulnerable under a left-leaning government? It's just it's madness. I don't understand, and I just hope people come October, and even in the federal election, which is next year, vote wisely, and they choose and select a candidate and mark that box for something that's going to be better than what they currently have.
I was hoping I could find the answer quickly, but yeah, I think somebody was saying that Labor's government sent some in the vicinity of 40 million, just promoting the fact that they're giving us tax cuts. Like they're so desperate to buy people's votes. It's beyond a joke. But let's get to some of these questions. There's a lot of shit we've got to try and get through. But anyway, Clinton,
Sorry,
even
man.
though no, it's okay. Like I love having a yarn, but there's all these people here that also want to join the yarn. So
I have not. In a while, because obviously I've been flat out working. I have not had a political conversation in a fair while, as you can probably tell. So
it's all good. It's happy to facilitate, man, and I'm sure everybody's happy to sort of watch it all unfold. But Clinton, even though you don't have an answer for what you would do on your first day as PM, my question is: what would you do on day 2? For me, I'd be going after the universities and the lies they are pushing on their students, which kind of ties into what we were sort of just talking about in some cases.
Yeah, 100%. Like that is a good point. You know, like we're seeing. Well, actually, I'll tell you a personal story. I went I graduated William Ross State High School here in Townsville. The year was 2016. I'm only 25 years of age. And when I was going through my final years, so year 11, year 12, there was always the constant pressure. Hey, you've got to apply for university. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You've got to go to university. Well, maybe I don't want to go to bloody university. You know, I had a teacher who always told me, you won't make any money staring out of a glass window. Now I make more money than that teacher.
And you're staring out the glass window, watching the road and the trees go by.
I make more money than that bloody teacher, and I hope they hang there. I hope they're jealous, to be honest.
And watching now to see that rubbed in their face just a little bit.
Well, I know they follow me. I know my
there you go.
Do follow me, so you know who you are.
Maybe that teacher will pat themselves on the back and go, well done, mate. You win.
Yeah, well, they probably do in private. But anyway, like the guidance counselors and everything, hey, go to university. Well, no. Like you go to I've got a lot of so in my grade, there was like 262 people. Anyway, I can count on 2 hands how many actually graduated university. They like half of them all went to university and the rest of us all went and got trades and whatever. And like you can count on 2 hands how many actually finished university. And like, what a waste. Like you've signed yourself up to this sort of degree. And now you've got to pay it back and you're never ever going to finish it. Like and the sort of the woke indoctrination that people are currently getting in their universities is actually sickening. So if you took a political science degree, right? And a lot of these lecturers and stuff, they're all left leaning, or they're union, they're part of the teachers union and stuff. And they're pushing that sort of left leaning ideology onto the students that they're teaching. So what are them students going to think is the right ideology to take part in? Well, they're going to think it's the left leaning ideology. Obviously, you've got small minorities that would, follow conservative ideology or nationalist ideology or whatever you want to call it. But a large swath of them will all follow the left-leaning woke agenda that's being shoved and rammed down every single child's throat. They're currently changing history. Like, they're changing the way history has happened. Like, you don't learn anything about, Captain Cook landed in he come in 1766. No, that was the year of
80
war. 1766 was
88 was the bicentenary, but I can't remember now.
Sorry, so I'm confused.
That's how good an education we got.
I'm confused because I keep thinking of it. I don't know why. I'm just really fascinated with America. 1766 was the year of American independence. So 1770, which is the town that is near Hampton, town of 17. No, it's lower than that. Anyway, town of 1770 is when Captain Cook. Yeah. So yeah, Mark James just said 1770 is obviously a bit smarter than us truck drivers over here. But yeah, why aren't they being brought back?
Yeah, and there we go. 1770. So
Yeah,
I'm trying to get through all these other.
Yeah, you're
things
right. We got
too,
a
and
lot
I'm
of
taking
questions.
notes.
It's pretty bloody good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot coming at us. So I mean, here's an important one because we're going back talking about Bogan Nation sips.
Yep.
So that's an important question. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
That is the most important question.
Christian's happy with what's going on. He reckons you've got his vote.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Now,
it. I hope you do
where
well.
is it?
Given the uphill battle every single independent in this town has got.
Hi, Rachel.
But yeah, it's good.
I'm getting lost. There's like things I wanted to get to. I've made some notes. I'm just trying to get. I'm going up and down. I'm confusing the hell out of myself. Where was it? All right. So Michael's a fan of his hard questions. So what's Clinton's take on the deaths and injuries, obviously relating to something? Actually, before we go here, this is the point where I'm going to have to say, YouTube, sorry, we are no longer with you because this question is not happy for YouTube. So anyone watching via YouTube, get into the links there. Come find us on Rumble, Facebook, X, anywhere. But sorry, YouTubers, if you want to hear the answer to this question, you're gonna have to move on. So we don't want to delete it.